I do feel a little bit like that SNL sketch with the NPR ladies. This is very out of my element, but I'm not wearing a festive sweater.
Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music through the lens of our favorite artist discographies. I'm Troy Sennett.
And I'm Matt Kistler.
And today we are talking about the Hotelier's third and, as of yet, final album, Goodness. And we have a guest joining us. Welcome, Lauren Lederman.
Thanks.
I hope I said your name right. I don't think I've ever said your last name in my life.
Honestly, most people don't say it right, and you did, so that's impressive.
Cool. This album came out in May of 2016 on Tiny Engines. It was produced by Seth Manchester. I didn't really think about like Hotelier producers. Like, I feel like they don't talk about the producers of their records very much. They were just
really.
like, oh yeah, we went and hung out with a friend and recorded for a couple weeks or whatever. I think this one was kind of a bigger thing because they had more money and were coming off a really successful album. So Lauren, you should go first. How did you find the Hotelier? Was this your introduction to them, or did you get into them earlier?
I found them, so I was telling Matt earlier, my sense of time is just so warped where I have to really think about where I found them. And I think it was probably right after when Home was released. And I had sort of and I don't want to categorize this band as emo because it's more than that.
Many people have.
Yeah.
Many people have. That's a different conversation. But I had sort of stopped listening to emo and pop punk, which is what I used to like. And then at work, my friend Jordan had said, oh, you might like this band. And I remember in that moment, there were two bands he sort of introduced me to, the Wonder Years and the Hotelier, both stuck. And yeah, it must have been 2015, sometime after Home, and going, oh, this is good. I like this. This sort of hits a nerve. And yeah.
Yeah. And then, so you were like anticipating Goodness a lot when it was.
Yes, I was very excited for Goodness. Yeah.
Matt, what about you? We talked about how getting into the band the last couple weeks, but what was your like leading up to Goodness? Were you excited about it?
I was excited about it. I do remember at the time not being this is an album that I recognized was very good at the time. I just wasn't as into it as I was into Home. That has, as it has happened many times before with bands we've discussed on this podcast, that's changed over the last little while. But yeah, I just remember this being like different enough in a way that I was like, this is cool. I don't vibe with it as much as Home, but like I still recognize that it's really good. And then I just kind of put it away for a while. And then in the last few years, I've kind of revisited it a couple times and realized that it probably is their best album. So
yeah, that's like where I'm at. Is I usually whenever anyone asks me like my take on the Hotelier, my thing is always Home is my favorite, but Goodness is the best. Like, I think and I think the band agrees with this, that they kind of reached their creative height with this album. They did they did and said everything they could have wanted to say on this album, and that's why they haven't made another one yet, because they don't feel like there was anything left for the band to do. Which is kind of a bummer because I want more music from them, but I also totally get it because I think this is like this is an album that shows more growth and more like I don't know, just a better sense of the world than just about like any band ever, just in the span of like, 5 years and 3 albums. I don't know, hardly any band has managed to pull that off that I like, in my opinion. So this album, there's so many, they actually did a lot of interviews about this album. I have a lot of quotes here that I think are really interesting. And they don't really talk, again, like they don't talk about like making it very much. They talk about kind of like being a little bit at odds with each other about the spoken word intro and the artwork and stuff like that. But they talk a lot about the album thematically. They talk about it. When they introduced it in like a Tumblr post, they said like, it's called Goodness. It's a love record. I think we're allowed to do that now. Which I really like is like a band that is able to say like, they basically are shedding all of the expectations of them as like an emo band or whatever. And they're able, I don't know, they bring in a lot of stuff, whether it's talking about, they used to be a band that wrote a lot about youth, and now they're a band that writes in this album a lot about age and a lot about like the passage of time and cycles of life and nature. And I don't know. This album is very thematically rich, and I find it like a really comforting listen.
Yeah, especially compared to Home, which like if you're sitting there like really in that album, you kind of leave not feeling bad by any means because it's a banger of an album, but like it feels heavy in a way that this does not.
Yeah.
It's the one I come back to more, and I think for the same reason. Home is, I can sort of listen to it in the background, but if you sit with it a little too long or you focus a little too hard, it's an intense album.
Yeah.
Lyrically, it's very intense. Goodness, I think, has a similar intensity, but one that I think over the years, as I've grown up and gotten older, it's not that there's more I can sort of pull out of the lyrics compared to Home, but I think it grows in a way with you that Home feels a little more maybe crystallized in time.
Yeah. That makes total sense. And I think, again, like that just squares exactly with what Christian Holden has talked about with the lyrics, is like that Home is about a very specific, 2 years of his life. And I mean, even It Never Goes Out is even more specifically about like high school, and it's a high school band writing songs about like, being so confident that everything that you know about the world is right. And then Home is like the breaking down of all that. And Goodness is like where you find yourself again after all of that breakdown has happened. I'm trying to find the quote that I have highlighted. So this is from the like the little album blurb. They always have great blurbs, like
they really do.
With the album announcements. Alyssa Kai wrote this one. And it says, what is age softening in us? What is it hardening in us? Are we getting better, worse? How could we ever know when capital forces us onward away from ourselves? In the gaps between these monumental questions, in the tiniest details, in the infinitude of cycles outside of time, there is goodness. We begin there. I think that's a wonderful summation of what this album is and what it's about.
Yeah, definitely.
So when they announced the album, I think this was like January of 2016, the very beginning of 2016, they released Goodness Part 1, which is just an acoustic song that is sort of, I feel like it's sort of a thesis statement for the album. Even though it's not on the album proper, when I burned a CD of this to play in my old car that had a CD player, I put Goodness Part 1 first, and I basically always listen to it before I listen to the album.
That feels right.
Yeah, the song is just like a beautiful invitation, I think, to the entire vibe of the album. What do you guys think of this one?
I think it really sets the tone for the whole album without like giving too much away about like where it's going to be going sonically. That said, like I feel like it's a really bold move to name a song Part 1 and then like, well, I mean, Goodness Part 1 and Part 2 are obviously like very, very interrelated in terms of themes, but like the vocal melody is the same for the main vocal melody, which I think is a really cool move. Like you would think that would feel cheap in a way, but it really doesn't, because like enough about the vibe of those two songs is changed that they feel like they are their sister songs. Sibling songs, whatever you want to call them, without feeling like they are like copies of each other. Like you could have this on in the background and like notice the differences, but like really focusing in, like you really kind of see where they diverge, lyrically and sonically. Sonically is obviously a little more obvious since it is an acoustic song, but I don't know. Where do you stand, Lauren?
I love it. When they released it, I was kind of all in immediately. I think it's in so many ways, it's not a huge departure from Home, but it is. You hear it for the first time. It's very soft. It's very inviting. I think lyrically, I mean, even the concept of goodness is, however you interpret it, is a hard one to write about without coming across as too, I don't know, saccharine, too corny. It's
too moralistic or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to veer into that. And so I could see how people hear it and go, where are we going? What is this? But to me, it felt like, I don't know, it worked immediately for me. It sort of felt like a natural next step, because I don't know how you follow the intensity of Home with that same kind of intensity.
Yeah, well, and it's like the intensity doesn't fade after years of living with Home. Like that because that album is so emotionally intense, it sticks with you. And so to come back into like a new era of the band with something quieter, and also a song that uses a lot of the same like tree metaphors and stuff as are really prevalent on Home. I think it works really well. And also, I think Christian's vocal performance in this song is unreal.
Yeah.
And part of it is just because it's such a sparse recording, but he doesn't have like a harsh voice, but there's just like a texture to it that is as good as anyone who has ever sung in this genre, I think.
Right. I remember last time you had mentioned that the bit about the vocal melody from Introduction as being handed down from God himself. And I feel like there's a lot of that on this album. Like, I think I have multiple songs where I'm like, oh yeah, this melody's really fucking good.
And also, but that's like that no other band that sounds like them has melodies that sound quite the same, or that kind of, I don't know, that move in quite the same ways. He's a very talented writer.
Yeah. Well, and like, I feel we'll get into this more specifically on certain songs, but I feel like a lot of times on this album, there is like a very very intentional setting of those really beautiful vocal melodies against really like dissonant melodic guitar parts or harmonic guitar parts. And I think that like really like brings those melodies out in a way that like maybe they weren't being brought out in Home in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So this song was released with like a music video of sorts, like a teaser trailer for the album that ends with some footage of the photo shoot for the album cover, which is kind of infamous, I guess, in the scene, which we should talk about the album art, which is a handful of older nude people in the forest, which the artist named Zirin that they had do this artwork. And like they talk about, you know, having to like, they just put an ad on Craigslist. They were like, are you old and do you want to pose naked for our album cover? And they had to like, they asked like, you know, the city or whatever. It's like, well, do we need a permit for this or whatever? And they're like, well, over there is federal land. We can't tell you what to do over there. So that's where they just did it. And I mean, for obvious reasons, they had to make an edited version of the album cover, which is this giant, like, you know, huge, like 1 inch by 1 inch pixels, pixel grid over the artwork, which ends up looking cool in its own way, and it's thematically relevant to the like things they're doing sonically on the album, which I really like. Do you remember like seeing this album cover for the first time and be like, what the hell are they doing? Or that's really cool.
I'm trying to remember my first reaction to it, because now I look at it and I watched the sort of album teaser music video this morning and I went, this is beautiful. It really, I don't know, it kind of hit a nerve. It's lovely. The character in it moves from the city into the wilderness and finds the models frolicking in the grass, and you think, oh my gosh, it resonates. I cannot remember I'm sure it was not what I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was plenty of talk about it, but no, at this point now, it feels it just works so well knowing the entire album.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if I saw the pixelated version first, because that's not impossible.
I did.
That was floating around for sure, like around the time of the announcement. I feel like I don't really remember the kind of, I don't want to say public reaction, because like this band isn't that big, but I feel like there was a lot, like any article you read about this album, any interview you read about this album kind of starts up top with like talking about the album cover, which like is valid. But I don't know that I remember people being that weird about it. I would expect them to be, because people are not great about non-sexual nudity and also older bodies in general. But like, I also feel like people who are into this band are probably generally kind of on board for a statement like this.
Yeah, or at least see that it is an artistic statement in some way.
Yeah.
If they don't, you know, like it, or like other members of the band they talk about, we're just like, we think this is a really weird idea. Like, why would we do that?
Right. Yeah. It feels like there was quite a bit of that over the course of the album in general.
Yeah. I think my very first post on chorus.fm was about this album.
Oh, dang.
Because
really?
it had been announced right at the time that Chorus was like in beta. And I remember like finding the beta version of the site by accident and seeing like that one of the very few threads that existed over there was like the goodness thread. And I think my very first post on Chorus, or maybe my second post after being like, hi, I found this. Can I be a member of this forum? Is that okay yet? Are you accepting users who accidentally found it somehow? But yeah, because so the album starts off with a song that is just coordinates for the title.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time the track list was out, and I remember posting on there, it was something like, I wonder if the track list songs are like the parenthetical songs on Reconstruction Site by the Weakerthans that are as these like sort of stage setting interludes, which they basically are. The ones on this album obviously are more sparse sound collage-y thing. And the first one is just a spoken word poem that sort of introduces all the themes and images of the album. But I like these as I occasionally will skip these if I'm listening to the album like on a run or something.
Sure.
But I like them as sort of, centering you in the nature or the specific places in nature that the album is sort of about or that are thematically resonant for Christian and for the band. But I also like that they're titled these very specific coordinates, which is the similar like the sort of mix of nature and technology or modernity that you get with the pixelated album cover or the data moshing thing we'll get to later with the drum sounds that they do sometimes.
I really obviously I shouldn't say obviously, people don't know the type of stuff that I listen to out there. I love the spoken word intro, and I do love the other interludes that we'll get into more deeply, but like I listen to whole albums that are just shit like that nowadays. So I guess that's kind of on brand at this point. But I definitely remember not being as into it at the time, but these have really grown on me, and especially this intro, because it doesn't do the same thing that an introduction to the album does, but it does do a really great job of setting the stage for like what to expect thematically going forward. Obviously not sonically. There's no other spoken word on this album at all.
What if this album was all just paper rustling?
Then I would have hated it in 2016 and I would love it now. I don't know, Lauren. I feel like since you come largely from the world of literature, how do you feel about a spoken word intro from a band like this?
I like it. I think it could.
That might have been a leading question. I'm sorry.
I think it could go south really easily, not specifically for this band, but for any band to use spoken word poetry, essentially. I think it has to be deployed in a way that makes sense. Like you said, thematically, it has to make sense. It has to draw you in the right way instead of, I don't know. I immediately think of a lot of spoken word or even slam poetry, which can instantly just not hit the mark and you lose your audience pretty quickly.
Is there a band that you know of that has done it badly or that you can think of? Because I think of like the skits on rap albums. Often people think of them like that as like these are just kind of silly, things that don't really matter that much, and I can skip them every time.
I can't think. I can think of one album that was mostly spoken word that did not work for me.
Talking about Between Bodies?
Yeah.
I was about to ask when that came out and if it was around this time. I forgot.
It was the same year, I think.
It was the same
later
year?
in 2016?
And it's on paper, it's something I probably would like. And I will admit I have not returned to it.
I haven't either.
I feel like I need to revisit that album, actually.
But at the time, I went, not for me, not working for me.
Okay, Between Bodies was 2014.
2014,
Literally,
okay.
I don't want anyone to get mad at me.
No, they can get mad at me because I will say that in our spreadsheet, well, I tried to say this as tactfully as I could. In our spreadsheet for what bands we should cover in the future on this podcast, we have a line in there for World is a Beautiful Place. And I say in there, I think Between Bodies is kind of an EP, but it deserves its own episode because it is such a fascinating artifact. I think that's the nicest way I can describe that album.
That's a very tactful way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yes, and probably worth revisiting. Probably worth another listen, but that's the one example I could think of.
And you're right. That is a perfect call. That is a much less successful deploying of spoken word on a emo album.
I feel like that record in particular felt like it was, I guess, an experiment in a way to like, because they wanted to do something like that. This feels more like this is a message I want to deliver, and this is the only way to do it the way that I want to. Which I think is like kind of the operative difference here. Like, I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about the World Is album because I literally remember very little about it because I think I listened to it once in 2014 and then never returned to it.
Yeah.
But like this, just the earnestness of this and like the way it's delivered, like really works for me. Like I don't think you could, I think you could remangle kind of what is here into like lyrics, but like I think it being delivered as prose as an introduction to the album, if you will, is the way to do it here.
Yeah, I agree. And then after that, you get Goodness Part 2, the sequel song, the sister song to Goodness Part 1, obviously, which is, again, is a kind of different sort of intro. Like, obviously, introduction to the album was a kind of a long, mostly guitar and vocal piece, and this starts off like straight off with drums and vocals coming in pretty quickly, and there's these like discordant piano chords that kind of like smash down in the middle of the first verse, and you don't get guitars until like halfway through the song.
Yeah.
But I love this as a song to kick off the album. It starts it off with a totally like unique energy to any of their other records.
Yeah, I just want to say as like kind of a blanket statement, drums on this album, underrated.
Oh, the
drums are so good on this record.
The snare drum sound that is so like that was the controversial thing. I remember, not the album artwork, but the sound of the snare drum and piano player when they released it was like it's so loud, it's so high in the mix, and then they even like put it at the end of this song as like almost a joke of like, here's just some more of that snare drum.
I want more of that. I want more songs that are just like sharp percussion hit, silence for an indeterminate amount of time. I want somebody to do that Whitney Houston challenge, but with this song.
What is the Whitney Houston challenge?
So it is. There's that big drum hit in "I Will Always Love You," and there's an amount of space that's just like. It's not like a number of bars. It's just like you kind of have to feel it out to hit it at the right time. So people will throw on that song, like just have a tom sat in front of them, and then the challenge is to hit the drum at the right time.
Okay, that sounds fun.
I've seen entire bands try this. I think Touche did it at one point, and that was how I found out about it. But I want that, but for this.
I like that. But yeah, I don't know, Lauren, what do you think of this song?
I feel like my response to most of these are, I love it.
Great.
It's great.
Good band.
Good band. Surprise. But no, it's hard for me to not try and compare it to track 1 of Home, because it's, like we said, they're both very distinct introductions to very different albums. And I think with this, it was, I'm trying to like think back to my first listen. It's an interesting thing to go, oh, is this maybe a little quieter, maybe a little more, I don't know, contemplative in a way. And then, yeah, as the song builds, you get more and more discordant, and you go, well, maybe it's not that different.
Yeah, it's not bombastic in the same way as the end of Introduction to the Album is.
Yeah, so this song, I think, maybe not more than any other song on this album, really does the like juxtaposing of the man-made and the natural a lot. Like it's literally any line you get about something like man-made or artificial, you immediately get it like a nature image right after it. I think maybe one of my favorite lines or set of lines in this song with regards to kind of that general approach is the if we spin without compass in circles, will we fall in the exact same or the same exact place? Like that is such a cool, like, we are doing this thing where we are kind of talking about, you know, what we as humankind have done versus like what has always been there. And you know, we have a compass, which is like a machine driven by nature. But we do wonder like where we land without that. Like, do we have some sort of like preternatural disposition to like, you know, be able to find our direction, or do we need the things we have built in order to do that? That feels like a lot for 2 lines that are like 5 words each, but like it feels like it kind of encapsulates like the attitude of this song.
Yeah, it's a great image. The other thing I wanted to mention in the song is this is the first I mentioned the data moshing is a term that I learned from the Hotelier, because I was trying to find them. It must have been on their blog somewhere, but they talked about they just gave some of these songs to one of their friends to basically digitally manipulate some of them, and that's, you hear that a little bit right before all the guitars come in the song. You hear this, like, it sounds like the track is like shifting or warping and doing something weird, and it's more subtle in this song than it is on a couple of the other ones later. But it's I think it's the exact same thing, Matt, you're talking about, the juxtaposition of the natural and the technical.
Yeah.
After that is Piano Player. This is a song. This was the first single, I remember. I forgot to watch the music video.
I also forgot to watch the music video for this one.
They're not a music video band, really.
No.
But this, like you said, Lauren, I'm just gonna say I love every song on this record. There's really no bad songs on it. But this one is, I think, kind of a really interesting examination of aging. And I think it's kind of the first example on this album of where they used to, like I said earlier, they used to be a band that wrote all about youth, and now this is a band this is a song that's specifically about aging and reflecting on how you've changed as you age, and like the things that you loved as a child still resonating with you, or maybe even more so when you're older.
I don't have a lot of notes on this one. Lauren, what do you have while I try to figure out something clever to say?
I have thoughts.
Yeah, I would love to hear them.
No, I do love that throughout the album and on this song, you have the image of the moon throughout it, which is this very constant thing, but it's constant in that it's changing. And I think that is a really beautiful way to think about aging and to have that metaphor tied in with it. So to me, this takes that in particular and uses it so well throughout the song. And I, not like to go on a total tangent, but I think the reason why I think why this song in particular and this band has stuck with me is because of the way they look at aging and allow themselves to write about it, where I think similarly to discovering the Wonder Years at the same time with this band, very different bands, but lyrically they've grown on every album. They tackle things, they don't stay in one place. They age, they talk about things that aren't so rooted in youth. And I think this song kind of, I don't know, it just perfectly tackles an issue that many bands maybe in a similar scene wouldn't touch or wouldn't really know how to approach in sort of this poetic way.
Yeah, well, so many bands write about the idea of like being young forever or like never changing or whatever, and I think this is an album that embraces that change. And I mean, even just I think just the line of she sets herself straight and smiles with 88 remembered loves is just this idea of like a woman sitting down at a piano and just the way that she plays connects her to. I think the young child in the previous verse, I think of them as the same person, even though they're obviously like not. They are in a way they are the same. They're these kind of ideal representations of here's a person, a young person who has the entire world in front of them and has this childlike innocence, and then you kind of regain that through the music when you're older. I think it's like I said, just beautiful imagery.
It really is. And like, yeah, having that juxtaposition be so explicit in this song is just really a really nice, like a cool way of approaching it.
Yeah. And then I love the this floor is raised on beams of trust and there's room enough for both of us at the end of the last verse.
Yeah.
Just again, good band.
Great band.
Yeah.
I do right after that. I really love the turn from we have this refrain of sustain, because we're talking about a piano, into so stay in a way such that like the first time you hear this, you're like, is he saying sustain again? Have I been hearing this wrong the whole time? And no, you're not. It's just clever wordplay.
Yeah. It kind of, it changes or you don't quite know when it changes. After that is the next like sort of interlude song. This is the one that introduces the I See the Moon lullaby, which Christian said that he learned from one of the campers at a camp that he's a counselor at.
Yeah.
Which I think is really sweet. And I think this is just a really nice little like sound collage and lullaby there.
Yeah, I also I love the little like woohoos at the end of the recording. Yeah, like this is very much the kind of thing that I love. But like I especially love that like you could interpolate like this lullaby just into a song, and it kind of did get interpolated into the opening monologue. But like I think kind of having not necessarily the like raw recording of it, like in terms of like being a field recording. I think that like having the actual song instead of like trying to like turn it into something that it's not is like the best way to approach this. And then like, having the kind of additional, outdoor sounds and the guitar duet is a really kind of nice way of like bolstering that. There was definitely I forget which song it was, but I was sitting outside listening to this yesterday, taking my notes, and I was like, I don't remember there being birds here. And then I took off my headphones and I was like, oh, it's because I have open back headphones and I can hear through
the real birds.
It made so much sense though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this one. I don't know. Do you have anything else fun to say about North 43 degrees, etc.?
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to get, I think, kind of more of the natural sounds, nature sounds, soundscape in an album that's so focused on that, but maybe isn't putting it literally in their songs. Lyrically, it's there. And I think it breaks up the track list nicely.
Yeah. Like we talked about the intro of Among the Wildflowers on Home being like this like needed, necessary salve from the emotional like walloping of those first 4 songs. And I don't think this album has quite the same level of like, it's gonna wreck you and then you need something to pick you up. But I think, like you said, having to be able to separate these like, I don't know, these just kind of groups of thoughts is really nice.
Yeah.
So after that is Two Deliverances. I think this is my favorite song on this album.
It's really good. It's been stuck in my head for the last few days.
This song has the best bass line in the Hotelier's discography, I think. It's so catchy, and it's not like a crazy bass line or that hard to play or anything, but it's just like kind of the perfect little like groove to go in between the lyrics there at the beginning. This song, I guess, is about being in a relationship with someone who is more religious than you and not being able to reconcile that with how you feel about them. I mean, that is the interpretation that someone posted on Genius, which I totally agree with that reading. It hadn't really occurred to me before, but I like it a lot. And I'm surprised I'd never thought about it because I feel like I have in the past been kind of on the other side of that, whereas like I grew up like a good little Christian boy or whatever, and like definitely dated mostly people who were not. And so I reading the song through that lens, I feel like it opened it up a lot to me, and I like it even more than I already did.
Yeah. I have been that person in the direction that the song describes, so I feel this one really hard.
I feel a little crazy that I've never read these lyrics or listened to it with that thought, but my favorite section of this entire song is towards the end when it starts on an empty panel floor. That entire kind of verse paragraph that ends with, was kind of banking on a future that'd be involving you, but I couldn't ask this of you. And hearing that interpretation just kind of unlocks the entire song in a different way for me, in a really good way.
Yeah.
Had not considered that at all.
I can't take credit for like originating this. I literally just read this on
This
Genius.
is only something I know because of Genius.
Thank you, Genius Poster.
Thank you, Genius
for once,
Poster.
an intelligently written interpretation of a song on this website that is often full of the stupidest things.
There have been some bad ones, especially for the MCR series.
Yeah. Again, I think that the Hotelier might attract a slightly more literate or intelligent group of posters than maybe the My Chemical Romance or Rise Against Genius pages do.
Perhaps. I do want to say about this song, something that I kind of noted is this feels like I kind of talked about this with the last interlude, but this feels like kind of an oral tradition type song in a weird way. Like the simple chord progression, the like I don't want to say simple melody, but like relatively simple melody. Like this feels like something you could have learned from a friend, a neighbor, a parent, a grandparent. Like it feels stylized in that way. Like it's lyrically more complex than those types of songs generally are, but like it's the vibe it gives off, man, to me.
I want to keep wanting to like cite a lyric, and this is one that I like, and I'm scrolling through, and it's like every line in this song is pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
God, I just the one that keeps getting stuck in my head is, do I hear your tunes or acknowledge wounds that I got from rubbing elbows with a sharpened edge, which again, just another great image. Yeah, I don't know what else. Sometimes when I like a song so much, I don't have anything intelligent to say about it.
Well, I mean, in a lot of ways, like that. I definitely have a song later on where I'm like, this is one of those songs where I just want to like put all the lyrics in my notes and just say those because I can't say anything good about them beyond what's already there. Like, it's all already out there, man. Like, you just got to listen.
Yeah. Next up is Settle the Scar, which is the other contender for my favorite song on this album. So this song, they actually had released before Home on a compilation. And it was a slightly different version of the song which was missing the bridge in one of the verses, I think. They expanded it for this album.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the original version to compare?
I did. It's not as good.
It's not.
They made it way better. But like, by and large, the bones and some of the other parts were already there. So like, it's very impressive to me that like they wrote this, I think, in 2012 and then recorded it in 2013 on a 6-way split. I feel like at that point it's not a split anymore, but whatever.
It's split / compilation.
Split / mini comp, yeah. Well, like, I mean, the band list on that split is pretty impressive because it's like what? Old Gray,
Modern Baseball,
Empire, Modern Baseball,
Dikembe, yeah.
Dikembe, yeah.
It's a really good comp. I don't Pentimento is the other band.
Pentimento.
Yeah. And Empire.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. Yeah, really 6 for 6 there. And then a vinyl that looks like a jack-o'-lantern.
Yes.
But yeah, I just that version is a little bit scrappier, and it doesn't quite fit with the vibe of this album. But I mean, they talk about deciding to put it on here because it thematically worked with what they were trying to do. It's again another song about reckoning with aging, how you've aged or how your family has aged, I guess, is kind of what I see in it.
Yeah, definitely.
This is the one of the very few songs with I will probably never get a tattoo, but if I do, one of the things I would consider is a Venn diagram with a perfect circle and a scribbled circle. I love that image. It's my favorite Hotelier lyric. I've probably said that like 3 or 4 times on this podcast so far, or like this series, but that, yeah, you made a map of how you loved and drew a perfect circle. I scribbled a Venn diagram. I guess I lost my stable hand is one of my favorite lyrics of all time.
Yeah, that's really, really stellar, honestly. This is, I think, the song I was specifically alluding to, where it's like we get this like there's that guitar part that's just like a minor second like overlapping, so it's like really dissonant, and then you get that like really beautiful melody, and then like the kind of data moshing thing happening too later on.
Yeah, that's where it's really obvious because the drum fill is like just totally split up and broken and sort of off rhythm in a way that sounds really cool.
Is that the part of the song towards the end? I'm thinking of that. It might be something different. I'm thinking of the guitar part that comes in before you said you see your life in exploding color.
Yeah.
Yes. Transition. The first time I heard it, it hits it like it tickles something, and it works so well.
Yeah.
And I feel like in some interview, someone in the band referred to the album as like glitchy garden.
Yep.
And that's the first moment where for me I go, okay, I see it.
Glitchy garden is a really good turn of phrase.
Yeah. You gonna take that for a Blood Pack Scout album?
No.
Yeah, that's definitely that part, because I think that section of the song is so the little bit before that, the I Owned Your Name, Your Body Shape, that's the part that's not in the original version.
Yes.
Yeah. It just goes straight into, it like repeats like a chord progression, then goes straight back into the You See Life in Exploding Color. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right. I hardly ever listen to the old version now that I have the album version.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking at the time, it was like, why would they change this song? It was already perfect, but they made it even better. The next song is Opening Mail from My Grandmother, which is, for the most part, a pretty like literal, just him talking about, Christian talking about, sitting with his grandmother, who clearly has like a form of dementia and doesn't quite remember all the people that have written her letters or anything like that, and just kind of talking about being by his grandmother's side, which is something that makes me just deeply sad, because I think about my own grandmother and that I probably wasn't there with her as much as I should have been, but like, yeah, it's just I don't know what else to say about it. It's really sweet, and it's a wonderful song. Someone else talk about it.
I feel like my relationship with the song is pretty similar. My grandma on my dad's side had dementia, and I was a little too young at the time to really grok that. And like, it's one of those things that like I remember bits and pieces. But like occasionally my parents will be like, oh yeah, I remember one time that you like were maybe a little indignant with Mary because she didn't remember something that you had like just told her. And I'm like, oh man, I know I didn't know any better, but I feel shitty about that now. But yeah, this song hits hard because of that. Because I think a lot about memory loss in general, but specifically dementia and Alzheimer's. And like I kind of talked a little bit about this on the last episode. The like kind of the fear of a thing being worse than the thing itself. And I think I have a little bit of that relationship with dementia in particular. Which makes this song a tough hang, but it's so beautiful that like I will listen to it literally every time I put this album on. I've put it on its own before. Like this is really a standout in a lot of ways just because of the arrangement itself. But like it really packs a punch in a pretty small package overall.
Yeah, for me, there's something very lovely about the way the song, I think, shifts the way the band looks at death and aging.
Yeah.
And for me, like listening to it more recently, thinking about the band's discography as a whole, it feels like this 180 from the way we see death on Home, where there is, I don't know, it's the shock and suddenness of death at a young age versus in this song where there's something like even a little funny and a little sweet about the way that we're getting this image of a grandmother and opening mail, literally. And the gentleness with it, I think, is what makes it stand out so much.
Yeah.
And even the line, "the youth's in your mood," it's a completely different world from how the band approached maybe like a similar theme previously. And I love that. I love that comparison.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's finding joy in like the renewal that comes with aging and then therefore with death, like, and finding some solace in that, as opposed to, like you said, the treatment of death on Home is very harsh. And even the treatment of aging on It Never Goes Out is kind of the same way, where they talk about like, when we're old and we'll be old and just like on our deathbeds only like wanting to sing like punk rock songs if we don't like, you know, if we live our lives in a way that we would regret, like we'll just be longing for youth forever because it's the ideal state. Whereas in this, like, this album presents a way to age gracefully, I guess, or to at least appreciate life into old age.
Yeah, the line right before the one you alluded to there, the "your beautiful brightness perpetually new," like just as like this approach to life, like willfully or otherwise, where you are just like, you know, taking the time to like take aging with grace, to treat every day as a new thing instead of like, I guess, slogging through it, which I've definitely seen people do. But like, yeah, it's the youth's in your mood, as it turns out.
After that is another interlude, another sound collage with another bit of the I See the Moon. I don't think I have anything to say about this one that we didn't already say about on the previous one, but it's just another sort of marker on the album that sets apart the last 5 songs, I guess. I don't know if you guys have anything on this one specifically.
Nope, I just have the note from the top of the Genius page as the only bullet point on this one.
where they recorded it at the coordinates for the back to school or the not back to school camp that Christian volunteers at. Then after that is Soft Animal. This is where Lauren gets to talk about Mary Oliver.
I love Mary Oliver. Everyone should read more poetry. Mary Oliver is great. I think when this album came out, I'd read her, but not a ton, and I'm no scholar, but hearing her name in the song and then getting through the entirety of the plot line of the song, you go, oh, of course. It makes perfect sense if you know her poetry. It's very focused on nature. It's beautiful, but also a little brutal sometimes. And it walks that line very well, which I think this song does also.
Yeah, I mean, it is, you know, just kind of jumping right to the end where the song ends with like the deer, who is this image of like this solace and rebirth throughout the song, is then shot and killed by a hunter. At the end it's the brutality of, I mean, I see it as the modernity versus nature idea, that like the this like, I don't know, this kind of perfect image of natural beauty that then just gets destroyed by the firing of rifles off. The echo hits you hard enough, and I can hear you rustling. But then the mob of voices harmonize and tell me that you're not alive is like this very sort of you can imagine like the celebration of hunters who are like, I got one. But then describing that as harmony is its own kind of backwards appreciation of the cycle of life. That like, I don't know, this stuff is inevitable. Like death is inevitable, but and even Christian talks about seeing this song as like the deer as a reincarnation, an idea of his grandmother after she dies at the end of the previous song, which is also its own kind of beautiful image.
Yeah. This was one of the places on Genius where I diverged a little bit on my opinion of them, because I think there's an interpretation on there of this being about like a romantic relationship, and I'm like, I don't buy that in the least. Like I know you have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. I don't think that's the core thing here at all. I did my stupid note that I had right at the top was, man, I wish seeing a deer in winter made me feel this at peace, which is a way to deflect the kind of serious nature of the song. I do love this one, though. It's so good.
Do you not like deer? Do they not make you feel at peace?
No, deer do. I do love deer. One of my deepest fears when I was at I went to the last Eau Claire festival several years back now, and me and my friends were staying in a cabin in like rural Wisconsin, and like our deepest fear was like hitting a deer, because that would be devastating for literally all of us, and not just because of the car damage, but also the emotional damage that would cause.
Yeah.
No, I love deer. I just, if I see one, it doesn't immediately heal my wounds.
Yeah, I think of my grandparents lived in a house that was right by like this huge cemetery, and so deer would just roam around the cemetery and then come into their backyard often. Man. Especially like it's like Christmas Day, there would always be just like deer prancing around their backyard. It was wonderful. You know, it's funny. That reminds me of just this album being so much about nature, and they talk about also in some of the interviews like the suburbs versus the forest, or will the forest consume the suburbs, or will the suburbs consume the forest? And as a kid, my grandparents had what I thought of as a massive forest in their backyard. Mm-hmm. And these trees were so impossibly tall, and I would get in trouble for climbing them dangerously high and stuff. And it felt like infinite to me. And then I go back as like, and I'm, older or whatever, and I look and it's like, were there always only like 7 trees back there?
Oh yeah, we have a similar. So in my parents' neighborhood, there's a park by us. It's a very large park, to be clear, but there's this square of trees, and I always thought it was like a legit forest. Like when I was really young, and like looking back, I'm like, you could walk from one side to the other or to the other in like a minute if you wanted to. But yeah, I know that feeling. Like it's possible nothing changed, but just your perception of it did.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also possible that it got consumed by other things.
No, this was literally just me getting older and realizing that their yard didn't stretch for miles.
Okay, fine.
After that is Sun, which Sun I think of as like I always think of this as sort of the centerpiece or the thesis statement of the album, even though it is sort of on the back half. But this song is, I think it's the longest song on the album, or pretty close to it. But it's I feel like calling it like kind of epic in scope feels silly, but it kind of is. Like I think it tries to take in the entire idea of the sun as like the driving force of life, the cyclical nature of night and day, and like even the sun is like an object of worship in a way. I think are kind of all those ideas are kind of at play in this song. Yeah,
and I think Christian has said that this is their best song, I think, in an interview at one point, which I don't know if I agree, but I do feel that in a lot of ways. Definitely also as a thesis for this album, like, I get it. Yeah. I get it.
I would say I like the song. It's maybe not my favorite. It's not the one I think to return to often, but I love the sequencing right after Soft Animal. I think kind of after the chaos of the final moments of that song, with the hunters, with death, with the way the music builds, this is a really nice way to continue the theme, but sort of come down from that intensity.
I in like kind of following along the lyrics in a way that I hadn't before, the last few weeks. The line "Will you lay with me in the sun tonight" really stood out to me. And I assume it's more than a clever turn of phrase. It's it is probably like, referring to the fact that the moonlight is in fact just sunlight. But I love that, because like it's something you could breeze past, but it's also something that you could dive really deeply into, much like a lot of other Hotelier lyrics, it turns out.
Do you get a Mountain Goats vibe from You and Me, Twin Firing Machines?
You better believe that I assumed that was a reference.
I don't know if it's intentional.
I don't think it's intentional. I think that's a real phrase that people use.
Yeah, it's always in my head whenever I hear this. It's like, it reminds me a bit of this year.
I wouldn't be shocked if you asked Christian about it and they went, yeah, a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, and I don't have a ton more to add about the song, except I do just love the way that it builds musically throughout all the layers that come in. A lot of really interesting guitar stuff going on. They do the thing where they like drop 2 beats from a measure each time through, which is always a cool trick that I like.
Yeah, I really like the extended bridge on this one, where there's like no chord changes happening at all. There's just like parts kind of ebbing and flowing in and out of the mix. I love that kind of thing. Like, I think it's a really bold move, especially on an album by a band that has been like kind of put into a scene that doesn't do that kind of thing very often. The emo scene, if you will. I was just looking to see if they played this at Riot Fest, and they actually didn't. They played quite a bit from this album, but I feel like I remember one time seeing them and hearing them play that, and a lot of the crowd being like, "What is this? This song is really long." I could totally see that.
Did they play it at Pitchfork in 2016?
That might be it.
Because I was there, and I have a vague memory, and I think they did, but I could be wrong.
They sure did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, they did Soft Animal and Sun back to back.
Which, at the Blue Stage at Pitchfork in Union Park, if you're familiar, there's a giant tree in the middle of that area.
There sure is.
And I remember that day. It was sunny. It was gorgeous. And it's kind of perfect. You're sitting under a giant tree standing, and they're playing the song, and you feel the summer sunlight come in. And I have this memory of this woman standing next to me. She had purple lipstick on, and she looked at me and she went, "You look so happy right now." Oh my God. And I think 26-year-old me was like, "I am."
If it weren't for Condé Nast, we'd probably be there right now.
We would
Exactly.
not be recording this podcast here in this moment if Condé Nast had stopped being shitheads.
Yeah, impossible. Condé Nast stop sucking challenge. Impossible.
Level impossible. There's no way to continue Pitchfork if there are not more brand activations, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Justin Bieber doesn't headline.
Jesus.
Bad. After that is You in This Light. Kind of a cool, like, groovy riff in this song, I think. All those, like, really fast chord changes at the end of each progression, I think, are really cool sounding. Another song that I just like a lot, and I don't know that I have a ton to say about, except that I think the line, dancing in private with the concept of never, is wonderful.
Yeah, that's very good.
I love the way that his voice, like, kind of yelps up at the end, like, every other time in that, like, repeating section at the end.
Yeah, that's really good. Also, we get more data moshing on this song, and the drum part that occurs before that is just like wild. Again, good drums on this song or on this album.
I don't know. I find, because I have the lyrics in front of me, and I find I start reading them, and I'm like, yeah, this is every line is good. Every line feels intentional, but you could say that about the entire album, about any song they've written.
Yeah, true.
So then after that, the drums kind of like break down, and the most like the most data moshing happens right at the end of this song. The whole like drum part kind of falls apart into Fear of Good, which is this like short piano piece. Not quite, definitely not spoken word, but definitely a as much an interlude as the sound collages are. That sort of sets up the last song on the album. Yeah, I like a nice short song from this band. I did get thrown back to, oh wow, like this is one of the shortest like songs since why can't I remember the name of the 1 minute song on It Never Goes Out?
with Punk Rock Saved My Life on it.
Holiday,
yeah. But just completely opposite vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real nice. I like it.
Yeah, I particularly like, I mean, it's such a short song, but the second half lyrically, with that pullback to nature, the line, I'm tense, I'm small, I'm speechless, where in the grand scheme of things, in, standing in a field, you suddenly feel like one tiny speck in the universe. And I think that line and sort of the softness of this song really encapsulate that well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it kind of sort of harkens back to the "Will you lay with me in the sun tonight?" because it's the idea that, and the image I see there is like looking up at the sky, and this one specifically a message to my brother's sky, and this idea of the sky is this impossibly high summit that you can just look. I don't know. You just look at nature and or the expanse of the universe or whatever, and just feel impossibly small. Yeah. I think that's wonderful. Then after that is the closing track, "End of Reel," which I think is pretty much a perfect closing track. If this is the last Hotelier song that exists, it's about as good a swan song as you could ask for. Which I think that phrase is in the song somewhere.
That phrase is in the song, and it's in the song in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
So good setup.
Yeah, I guess it is. What do you guys think of this one?
It's perfect. It's so good. It's as good as, maybe better than Dendron. I'm not willing to make that call right now. But it's real good. I this is probably like the lowest hanging fruit of this song, but like the refrain, I don't know what I want, but what I want's where I've been, is like, it's so perfect. Like the melody is great. The cadence is really soothing. The way it is introduced, just like being said once and then like getting repeated more and more throughout the rest of the song, is just like it. This is such a well framed song. Is the way I would put it. But that's my personal favorite part of this song, aside from the swan song thing, which we'll probably come back to in a minute.
I think it's better as a final song than Dendron.
That's fine.
Which I love. I love
don't
that
disagree
song.
in a lot of ways.
But this, to me, feels like the perfect conclusion to this album.
Yeah.
And there's that sense of overflowing, of brimming, and like something that I think the band as a whole has always felt that way. There's always this sort of eruption and overflowing of sound and emotion. And this, I don't know, I think it brings everything that's come before it. It brings it together so well. And then the drum at the end is sort of this callback to, I don't know, it's a little funny in a way. It's this sense of like, this is temporary, or this is unpredictable. And that feels, I don't know, thematically relevant too.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's also cyclical. Like it's harkening back to the first song on the album. I think that "In the Night We Will Celebrate Cyclical Spin" is one of the lines that always sticks out to me in the song, because it is, again, we talk about the moon a lot. We talk about like death and rebirth a lot on this album. And even then the title of the song is "End of Reel." The idea of like a film reel spinning and just spinning endlessly is, or I guess not endlessly, like it is the end, but like it can just keep spinning even with when it's done. So I love all of that imagery. This is another one of those songs I feel like I could just read every line and just talk about how great it is, how every image, like you said, it adds up to just this sort of perfect summation of the album. I do want to call out the well, I guess you already mentioned, Matt, the "If I ask you for nothing, will nothing there stand?" And this, like, years ago I wish I could find it. I read a really good sort of analysis of this song that talked about that line through the framework of like this the probably the same like Taoist ideas that the album is, that Christian is writing from, but just the idea of like, when you ask someone for nothing, like what are you asking them, asking of them? Like, are you actually asking them, just trying to reckon with this idea of like, how can you, of like devotion to a person, and if you ask someone for nothing, is there anything there? Well, there actually is something there, because you are, I don't know, I'm just explaining this terribly.
No, it feels like a big concept, and that's like bolstered by the fact that it is typeset as capital N nothing in the lyrics, which feels like it gives it an additional amount of weight. I don't know. It's it's a lot, man, even though it's nothing.
Because you're still asking someone for something, even if it's nothing.
Even if just to be there with you is something, right. Is I think what I was trying to say about it.
I think that's absolutely what it is.
Yeah.
And there is a way, if you're asking for nothing, the person on the other end of that could still provide that or not provide it. There's still that question of, I ask for nothing, but could you give me nothing? Could you... or talking in circles.
Or the idea of like, can you ever be satisfied with like, what the world gives us or whatever. I think there's something to that too. On a totally less philosophical note, the guitar part that comes in after the sight of you brimming is so beautiful. It just, the way that it like picks up just a little bit, and it's so much brighter than anything in the song before. Is just kind of a perfect expression of the emotion of those last couple lines, I think.
It definitely is. One thing I noticed that, and this was again like with a like looking at the lyrics while listening. There's that line, washing away until I don't even cringe at the thought of you. Cringe at is like inaudible. And I always find it interesting when like it is there. Like if you turn up the volume a lot to the point where it's probably a problem the second you get on the other side of that phrase. It's always interesting to me when bands like choose to do something like that, where like it's very clearly an important part of the line, but it basically dips. But like I feel like it adds extra emotional weight to the actual line itself. But I feel like that's so rare that like a band would choose to like more or less eliminate an important part of a line. Yeah,
it's great performances overall. Like I'm sure that it was not this way when they were recording this, but everything about really this entire album it feels like effortless to me, which is such a dumb thing to say about an album, because I know that bands put so much work into their art and stuff like that, but like it feels like every decision they made on this record was the right one, and it almost feels to me like there was no other way that they could have, I don't see other choices or like want to change anything about this record, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the record generally, now that we're at the end of it, that we didn't say before?
Good album. No, we've said that a lot. Yeah, like, well, I mean, we kind of this has kind of already come up in the context of like this being, as of right now, their last album. Lauren, you were saying in the car, like it's probably fine if that's the case. Sure. Like they've made a whole artistic statement over the course of their career.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to more music from them.
Of course not.
But this album in particular, I mean, for me, the fact that it's not just an album for a moment in time for me. It's grown with me, which I love. But in the discography, it's kind of a beautiful conclusion to it all. And like, I think there is a quote, I think I scribbled it somewhere, as I look at my handwritten notes. But it might have been from maybe the Stereo Gum piece that came out in 2016, where Christian says, this isn't home number 2. This is a transition. You have to find a way out. And if this is the conclusion to what they put out as a band, they've come out of the intensity. I keep saying intensity, but the intensity and the darkness of home into this really beautiful portrait of self and aging and nature. Yeah, if this is it, I'm satisfied.
Yeah. Well, the quote in the Stereo Gum piece that I wrote down is he says, you can't live in anguish your whole life. And like, that is sort of the thesis of this album, I guess. Like, even though it's never said explicitly on the album, this idea that like, at some point you gotta like come out of the turmoil of a time in your life, like what Home is written about, and here's a way to possibly go about trying to do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just evident in the fact that they chose this to this general angle to approach the album from. Like, there's so much hopefulness in this record that was not present in Home, and like it feels like a record that you do move forward from as opposed to Home, which is an album that you feel like you kind of sit in for a while.
Yeah, and it can move with you too.
Yeah.
This band has never really had much in the way of B-sides. There's really only one other song from this era that we haven't already talked about, which is a cover of The Cure's doing The Unstuck, which is cool, I guess. I'm not like the world's biggest Cure fan. It sounded like a good cover.
I like The Cure, but I am a fake fan and have never really listened to Wish, so I was unaware of this song until listening to this version. I don't know. The opening line, "It's a perfect day for letting go," is a very like Hotelier, like adjacent type of language. But I feel like Christian's doing a pretty good Robert Smith on this one.
Yeah.
Like if you hadn't told me this was a Cure song, I would have known regardless because of just the way the vocal affect is going. Like there's no way to sing a Cure song that doesn't like kind of remind you of The Cure without going like completely like off on a like musical tangent.
Yeah, well, I mean that's on Robert Smith being basically like a genius.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean I think that's kind of all there is about. I'm sure it's not all there is to say about the Hotelier, but that's all we have to say about the Hotelier. We got to rank a discography. I forgot about that.
We do have to rank a discography. It's a short one though, so it's probably easier than usual.
You want to go first?
Oh, sure. I have a weird feeling we're gonna have the same ranking on this one. Lauren, you don't have to rank the discography if you don't want to, but you're welcome to join us. So this is probably obvious from the way that I've talked about these albums. So number 3 for me is It Never Goes Out. Great debut. They only grew from there. Number 2 is this one. A perfect album, probably their best album. But I gotta let my feelings win and have Home be number 1. It's also a perfect album and has stuck with me for a very long time. And I could totally see a time in the future where this and or where that and Goodness swap places.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the same ranking as you for basically the same reasons. I thought about doing a bit where I draw like names of albums out of a hat or something to decide because I truly think
because it literally doesn't matter because they're all good.
This is one of the highest like quality discographies of any band ever. Lauren, do you want to rank do you have your ranking?
Goodness is 1 for me. And it's hard because Goodness and Home are neck and neck. They're both kind of perfect in my mind, but I think this one, on a personal level at least, is the one I come back to the most. So, number 1.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
So your chronological order 3, 2, 1.
They've gotten better every record.
Yeah. There you go. Love it.
Do you want to do some random recommendations?
I'm barely prepared for this one, so I'm probably just going to recommend a Ghibli film like some kind of schmuck.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
I feel like that fits thematically.
It kind of does, yeah. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna recommend not a Miyazaki film, despite that lead-in. I'm gonna recommend that if you have not, you should go watch Takahata's final film, The Tale of Princess Kaguya. Lauren and I saw it together at the Music Box, and us and the folks that we were with all just kind of sat through the credits, looking at the back of the seats in front of us, processing what we just watched. Not in like a Grave of the Fireflies type way where it's like, oh my God, the world is a horrible place. Just a like that film is one beautiful visually. It's for those unfamiliar, it kind of departs from the normal Ghibli style that they have. Even like Takahata's like normal style of animation that's associated with him as a director. But it's like it's all watercolor. It looks very like hand done in a way that a lot of the Ghibli films don't, even though a lot of them are hand drawn. But yeah, just a beautiful and devastating film based on a traditional folktale, if I remember correctly. The Bamboo Cutters, or The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, I think is the name of the original story. But yeah, Tale of Princess Kaguya, incredible film, highly recommend.
Okay, cool. I have not seen that one.
You should.
I will. I'm going to recommend, as I'm going to Lollapalooza in a couple weeks. So I've been going through the artists I'm most likely going to see and listening to some albums I hadn't heard before. One of them was Everybody Needs a Hero by Orla Gartland that came out about a year ago. This album is awesome.
Yeah.
It's for some reason I expected it to be a little more like a low-key synthy pop sort of album, and it's really like a huge, like it reminded me of like an amped up Ingrid Michaelson, which I think is like a fun idea. And she pretty much does it on this record. There's a lot of cool instrumentation, a lot of really great songwriting. She's got a great voice. I'm very excited now to see her and then run over to catch the end of T-Pain's set after she's done. I don't know. Lauren, you have anything you want to recommend?
I do. I think everyone should go get a Mary Oliver book.
Yes.
Just
Thank you.
because everyone needs more poetry in their lives. I think it's so easy to not think about reading poetry, or easy to say, I don't like it. But I think she's very accessible, and go to a local bookstore, buy it used, get any of her books. You might like it if you like goodness. But then also, because I feel like I have to talk about music, the new J-Som single featuring Jim Atkins is my favorite song right now. It's maybe my song of the summer.
Ooh.
Called Float. Check it out. It's really good.
I'm going to put that on right after we're done recording.
Yeah, I haven't listened to this yet.
It's good.
Okay.
Amazing.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Lauren, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Come on again anytime you want.
Love it.
Anytime
Thank you.
we're doing a band that you like or hate. We've never really had someone on to like talk about something they hate, which I think is a fun idea. We've covered albums that we didn't particularly like.
Oh, yeah. I love the idea of having a guest on who absolutely hates the thing we're talking about.
Get Alex on here, a true hater.
Oh my God. I can't wait to have Alex on this podcast at some point.
But yeah, so literally, like I said, anytime you want to come join us again, please do. We are going to be starting a new series next week talking about The Armed. Totally different
Very different
style.
band.
Basically anything we've covered before, but it should be fun. I'm hearing most of those albums for the first time in this series, so it'll be cool.
They're also releasing an album while we are doing the series, which is unusual for us. We should mention that speaking of Rise Against being a band that we had some albums that we had opinions on, we will be having a Rise Against episode in the middle of that series because they're releasing a new record next month.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Lots of cool stuff coming up.
Yeah.
In the meantime, find us on the internet at noisefloorpodcast.com and noisefloorpod on Instagram, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.